Hey everyone, Dr. Spears here with drpremed.com. I want to talk to you guys about something that's probably going to be more applicable as we move through the next couple months, and that's in regards to getting help as a pre-med. Usually we're talking about pre-med coaching, MCAT courses, commercial MCAT prep programs, and all of that because there's so much out there and it's very hard to figure out what's going to be the best resource and what's going to actually help you get where you need to be. And I know a lot of pre-med students, you guys know, for instance, the MCAT, you absolutely must do well on that exam so you have a fighting chance of getting into medical school. But there's so many courses, test prep companies come out there. I know the biggest question that students have is this a scam? Is this going to work for me? Is it actually going to get me results? And more often than not, students find out that they're not getting results they want. They're put in these cookie cutter programs that aren't actually addressing their specific needs. And so they spend all this time and all this money too, whether your own or your parents, whoever is helping you finance yourself. And then you just don't have anything to show for it. You wasted all this time. It could be a couple of weeks, it could be a couple of months, and you're basically at the same place where you started with, except your pockets are a little bit lighter. That's horrible. You don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to be in that predicament because it's just not beneficial or helpful. And I just understand how you guys feel about that. I'll tell you guys a quick story about myself. I have never been an all-star med student. That just wasn't what I was on for most of the part. But I did well, passed my courses and everything like that. And so I knew when it came for the United States medical licensing exam, your step one USMLE and all of that I needed to get help. So I purchased some commercial prep programs. Didn't really do too much. I'm like, I could have done this on my own or whatever. Obviously used the number one resource that they said to use. Didn't really see results with that. Just did the work and everything. And then, you know what? I got to make this happen. I need to get into a top residency specialty, and everybody says that your step one score dictates the rest of your life, the rest of your career in medicine. So I really need to do something different. And I'm just researching things online, asking other people what do they use, what do they recommend, and all of that. Obviously, I wasn't using anything recommendation from the school because the school's like, okay, you just need to study, you need to know this book inside out and just have it completely memorized and you should be able to do well. And that might work, but that's usually if people want to do well, they're struggling. You probably need a little bit more than just, oh, just read the book and know it, memorize it, because at this stage, everybody can do that. So that wasn't going to be too beneficial for me. So I started looking at things and then I saw somebody, it seemed like they were speaking exactly to me about, hey, maybe it's not you, maybe it's how the test is designed, or you don't know how to study for this board exam. And so I'm going to teach you what you need to do. And look at these other students who went through my program and the success that they had. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this company, they're speaking to me. I really can see myself. What if this works? Because at this point, I'm like, there's nothing to lose. I cannot, I would just be kicking myself for the rest of my life if I didn't put out this money into this program and course and see if that's going to be the one that's going to make the difference. And you go through their marketing materials and you see, like, yeah, that's nice, that's interesting, but that's too much of a turnaround story. That could never be me. I've never had that happen for myself or whatever. And so then I'm like, okay, you know what? We're going to do it. Got out the credit card, spent a couple $1,000s. Yep, a couple $1,000s on this for our board prep. And I thought this was going to be it. Got them training materials, going to be hooked up with somebody, a coach from their program that was going to work with me. We're going to put out our calendar and figure out our sessions that we were going to have. I was going to go through the pre-recorded modules that they had and just follow their strategy to a complete T. And so I got in there, started doing what they said to do, and it was a lot of work. And it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, this seems like a lot of busy work, and analysis and not really anything that's going to help me improve what I'm doing upon. They're like, no, no, you got to just trust the system, trust the system. We guarantee it works. We have so many students who've gone through it, and you just got to stick with it. And sometimes if it's not working, that means you need to do more of what we're telling you. And that's going to be the key to your success. Just continue doing more and more of it. It's like, okay, these guys are supposed to be experts, world class at what they do to help students get where they need to be academically for their medical licensing exams. So I'm like, I paid all this money. I'm going to trust them in the process. And so I just continued at it. Then I had to meet with the tutor, coach, however you want to refer to it. I said, hey, I'm doing this work. I don't see anything really happening. And my scores on practice exams seem to be pretty stagnant or whatever. And I feel like I'm spending a lot of time doing what I would call busy work than actually like learning the material and getting a better handle on things. No, no, no. Let's go look at what you're doing. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Well, maybe you should write out some more things and just do some more analysis on the questions that you're getting wrong and just do that. And we've seen that the students who really put the most time into doing that have the most success. So I would encourage you just to write out all your questions that you're getting wrong and just do basically a brain dump on that question on what you should have done, what you could have done, and why the test writer wrote the question the way they did, and what other facts and information that you needed to answer the question and all of this. And I'm like, okay, we'll do this or whatever. And then still not having success. And now we're a good, let me see, 4 weeks into the program or so, something like that. So a month into the program, and then 2 weeks later, like 6 weeks into the program, absolutely no change. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This isn't anything. I need to speak with somebody about what's going on or whatever. And so they put me up to, like, I guess the head coach or whatever. Oh, I looked over things, what you're doing, da 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 da. This, you really need to just follow our system and all of that, and just continue at it. And unfortunately, you've already used up all your allotted time frame that we have with the program. So I just encourage you to keep at it, and best of luck to you with everything. And boom, that was it. Never heard back from them. Nobody ever reached out and say, oh, Mr. Spears, because I'm med student this time, Mr. Spears, how are you doing? Or anything like that. What is there anything that we can do to help you? Was basically, I was upset, man. I'm like, I really would like a refund or something like that, because I'm like, I put all this time and effort into this, and you guys just basically sent me through a cookie cutter program, didn't really address my personal needs or anything like that. And then when it came to it at the end of the day, you guys were like, well, you guess what? You did what all our other students do, and basically it's out of our hands, and we're going to just wash our hands, absolve ourselves of the situation, and figure it out on your own. So I was extremely upset, pissed off, angry, but you know what? I'm a self-starter. I'm resilient. And I'm like, I'm going to figure this stuff out. You know what? Because I got where I am. I went through undergrad, grad school, did my pre-med stuff at Harvard and all of that stuff. I'm going to figure this out. Ain't nobody going to stop me from becoming a doctor based on this exam that I need to take. So I went to work, and I'm like, I'm going to just do what I do and put my head down and got to work. And I thought about those times when I was first year med student and we had our exams or whatever. And I for better or worse, I was one of those kids, like, the weekend, because our exams were always on Mondays. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was not really sleeping. I was just in the books, going over those PowerPoints or whatever, and just dug in and did what I needed to do to pass those exams. And so I'm going to have that same mentality. Nobody can stop me from doing what I need to do. And yes, I know I'm speaking grammatically incorrect by using ain't. I know proper English, but I'm just doing that for emphasis, because that's just what happens in these type of situations. So I'm like, going to make this happen no matter what. And then I came across something online. It was an article about underrepresented minorities in medicine. They were talking about how they need more Black African American, especially male physicians, because we're underrepresented. If you look at the stats in the last 40 years, so what, 1980s, 1970s or so, they had more black medical students in the 1970s and 80s than they currently do right now. That's horrible. That's obscene when you think about it. And so this article was talking about like, oh, what can we do to diversify medicine, and especially get more African American males and into medicine. And I saw the one guy, he was what was it, a learning specialist. He was at a couple medical schools and just kept advancing. He's not a physician or anything like that. He's like, I'm just all about education and academics and helping people do what they need to do and everything like that. So I'm like, you know what? Found a guy online. I'm going to reach out to him, send him an email or something like that. I think it was through LinkedIn or whatever. Found him there, whatever. He responded back. I told him, hey, I'm trying to get study for these boards and everything like that. I'm really not having progress I wanted to do. And I just saw that article that you were mentioning. He's like, oh, you did and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's like, hey, here's take my email and stuff like that. So I shot him an email and stuff like that. And then we got the email. And he's like, hey, you know what? Let's actually hop on a call and stuff like that. So we hopped on a Zoom call or whatever. And I thought, okay, we'll just do like a quick 10-15 minute intro session or something like that. And we got to talk and tell him what I was doing, tell him what I was trying to do and all of this stuff. And he's like, you know what? I see something in you. You're a bright man. You work very hard and you're committed to this process. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to work with you. He goes, once a week, we're going to get together and we're going to talk some shop about what you need to be doing for these boards because I believe in you. I know you can do this and stuff like that. He's like, I got a system in place that's going to totally blow your mind and take you to the next level, whatever. And so, I'm excited. I'm over the moon. I'm like, okay, this is what I need. This is what I need. Plus, the school got this deadline for me where I need to take this exam by, whatever, and all of that. I just don't feel prepared for it. I'm putting all the study in, and I tell him like, yeah, I just paid how much $1,000 in other program, didn't do anything for me. He's like, man, that's a shame. He's got too many people out here who just want to make a quick buck taking your money because they know you guys are anxious med students and all of this, so much on the line with these boards and everything like that. So I'm going to work with you. And so he said, we're going to do a session. He's like, this is how I want you to study. This is the approach I want you to take or whatever and all of that. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll do it. I have nothing to lose at this point or whatever. So I get in there. He actually gave me a PowerPoint presentation. He's like, go read over this PowerPoint presentation, make sure you understand it, and I want you to start implementing my methods and strategies while you're studying, going through this process. And he's like, you gotta do more questions. I want you to do more questions. I'm like, I'm doing a whole lot of questions. That doesn't seem to be the case because I've done UWorld I don't know how many times, whatever, and he's like, no, I want you to do more questions while you're doing my process as well. I'm like, okay, I can trust you. You're the expert in all of that stuff. And did this process, started working. Like not really seeing too much improvement. He's like, just give it some time, give it some time. Trust me, you really got to trust me and all of this stuff and have some coaching here and there. And then do a little bit more. Okay, we're going up. We're going up. We're seeing our UWorld scores go up. That's like the test prep question bank that you do for your board, your step 1, step 2, and all of that stuff that you're going to do once you're in med school. So I'm like, okay, this is good. Then taking a practice test and like basically like a simulated step 1 practice test. Oh, wow, scores going up. We're doing good. Okay. And then reach a little bit of a plateau. Okay, Miss Fierce, just keep doing what I'm telling you to do. Just trust me, have faith in me and all of this stuff or whatever. I'm like, okay. And then deadline approaching. I'm like, okay, I really need to make something happen. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'm a smart person. I'm going to go outside the box. I know what works for me. I know what I need to do. And I'm like, I just need to really do my condensed study. Because remember, guys, that's how I got through med school. I condensed and like not necessarily cramped because I studied throughout the semester at med school. But right before those exams, that's when I really got like super focused and did everything that I needed to do to be successful. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. There's 2 or 3 board prep things that you absolutely need to know inside out. So I'm going to just cram that material, not cram, but I'm going to read it. I'm going to get through a whole textbook. I'm going to get through a pathology textbook. I'm going to use first aid step one. I'm going to hammer in on a couple topics I know are my weak points and just some other things I know that I need to really know well. So I deviated from that from the last week leading up to my boards. That's what I did. I'm like, you know what? I've done enough questions. And at this point, questions are just telling me what I don't know. So I'm going to just dive in on this material that I know are my weak points or the things that commonly show up on the exam. And that's what I did. I totally dived in, did it, and it was grueling. I was, what would you call it, a zombie? Because I was basically not eating. Well, I was eating, but I was not sleeping. I'm like, no, I'm too stressed out to even think about sleeping. Even if I try to go to bed, I'm gonna just wake up anxious and like I gotta study and do something. So that's what I was on. I was just like on this like laser focus mode that we're gonna make this happen no matter what. And then the big thing is, okay, you're taking this test. Don't do anything the day before the exam or whatever. You need your rest. You need to be able to do what you need to do for that. And your brain needs a break or whatever. I'm like, that's very tough. That's very tough. Because I remember med school exam at what, 8 in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning on a Monday morning. I'm basically pulling all-nighter until like, and like even in the hallway outside the exam room, like studying, reviewing things right up to the exam. So this was just something like I'm just not used to, like not doing anything, but I'm like gonna trust the process. I'm gonna do what I need to do, and I'm not gonna study. It was very difficult. I might have looked over some things in the morning. Let's put that 24 hours before. I might have spent an hour, I'm not sure, looking over things. I'm like, you know what? I put so much into this. I can't accept not doing like that little tidbit more. But I'm like, I'm gonna listen to them and like stop and not do more after that point. And so just try to chill, relax, and have a good day or whatever. And then it was I don't sleep before exams. I just get stressed out about it no matter what. That's just how it was. So I got like very little sleep or whatever. I had to get up early, drive to the test center, and I'm a big fan of something that you guys probably shouldn't do, but I enjoy my Monster energy drink. So I was slugging that down to keep me wide awake or whatever. I've done that throughout med school and everything like that. So that wasn't usual. That was par for the course for me. Get in there, get to the testing center. You know how that is. It's a prometric testing center, so you got a wine, like almost like a pat down. Do you have anything? Put everything in a locker and all of that. You're not allowed to bring anything outside or whatever. I'm not sure if it was a fingerprinting or whatever, the digital fingerprint, all of that stuff, and get in there like, okay, rock and roll. And it was interesting because people take all different types of tests. Like, okay, who's going to be here for 8 hours? But that's me. Got a long test to do, whatever. And people like, oh my gosh, you have that? I'm like, yeah, that's what we got to do, whatever. And so I went in there, took that test, and I can't judge how I feel going into an exam or like when you standardize stuff because I'm like the ones that I feel I do well on, I do horrible. The ones I can do horrible on, I actually do decent on. But I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna be neutral about it. It is what it is at this point or whatever. So I went in there and I'm like, I'm gonna just forget about it. And what did I do? I'm like, I'm hungry and stuff like that. So what I did, I went to Chipotle. You guys remember I don't get any endorsements or anything like that. So for any test program, anything I've talked about, no, I'm not getting compensated for that because actually I rarely ever go to Chipotle. My brother actually enjoys it. And so like, you know what, I'm gonna just go to Chipotle, get something to eat and head on out of here or whatever. And just let things be what they are, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, took this. And then resume life, go about things I need to do, whatever. And then time goes by. I got that email. Got that email that test results were in. Logged in. Saw my score. And I was shocked. I was shocked. I'm a religious man. I said, thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord. All of that religious stuff. And I was on a different level. I'm not gonna tell you, I was on different level. I'm like, this is crazy. I can't believe I had this much improvement from what I was doing before here to the real thing. I'm like, I have never seen a score like that. I've never jumped up that much before in my life or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, let me reach out to the guy I was working with and let him know how things went. And he was like, congratulations, Jason. Congratulations, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you, man. He goes, man, I feel like I took that as a test. That's how excited I am for you and everything like that. He goes, that's really great. I'm just so happy you trusted me with my process and everything. I know it works, but sometimes the students don't know if it's going to work for them. But I know it does. And I'm just so happy, man. I'm just I'm just ecstatic for you. Congratulations, man. And he goes, you know what, Jason? He goes, I can guarantee your school is shocked. They weren't expecting Jason, okay, the average med student is having a little bit of trouble with these boards and everything to come through and get a score like that. He goes, I know your school is shocked too. They were like, we were not expecting that from Jason, the average med student. I guess I went beyond average in that case or whatever. And so, why am I telling you guys this? Because there's a lot on the line, and I've been in your shoes. You guys hear that story. You guys probably identify with certain things like, is this going to work? Should I really spend money on this? Or maybe you spent money in the past and it didn't work or whatever. And now you're like, I really can't do that again. I got burned. Is this a scam? And I just want to pass my exam. I want to move on to the next level. And there's just this one test that's standing between me and doing what I need to do. So I understand that. I fully empathize with that or whatever. And those are legitimate concerns. I've had them. A lot of the other people have them. People reach out to me and they tell me like, I want to get in this school. I want to do this. Can you help me? What's your process like and all of that? And I'm like, I totally understand. I'm like, I'm not like all these other test prep companies or whatever. You see on the website, drpremed.com, who do you see? Dr. Jason Spears. I put my name out there. You know who I am, and you see everything that I have to offer for you guys. And it's not like, oh, let me just take money and not really help you guys get to the next level. No, you're never going to work with someone like myself. And I'm going to just like, oh, well, guess what? This is what the program entails. And now you reach what I can give you, and that's it. Cut off, and good luck, goodbye, whatever, and best to you on things. And guess what? Now that I'm thinking about it, you know what? That other test prep company I work with, I spent a couple $1,000s with. I actually never reached out to them to say, hey, guess what? I went with somebody else and look at my score that I got, because I totally dropped that test prep methods because like, this is ridiculous. This is trash or whatever. I'm like, yeah, they probably had some really slick marketing that brought me in the door or whatever, but it didn't get me the results that I wanted to do or whatever. And so I understand. I'm like, I'm not going to, and I tell people, you come to me, I'm not going to slick his website. I'm not going to slick his copywriting, marketing materials, and all of that stuff, because that's just not how I roll. I got started on this when I was a pre-med student at Northwestern University. I was a president of Pre-Med Society, then grad school, med school, and all of that. So and that's where it came from. It was a passion, really, with people, underclassmen, asking me, hey, Jason, we know that you're present pre-med society, you know, AdComs and all these med schools, whatever. What should we do to get into med school? What do their AdComs recommend or whatever? And I've answered questions and all of that. And that's kind of how this Dr. Pre-Med fell in my lap, because I realized a lot of pre-med students have the same questions. I'm repeating myself over and over. So I'm like, let me just make a process like the other guy who helped me with my boards and everything like that. Turned it into a process that I know that worked. But here's how different from the other people in these test prep companies. We actually work with you. We have like a curriculum and everything like that, but we adjust it to the individual in front of us, just like you're going to do in medicine. Yeah, I can have a treatment algorithm and all of that, yeah, you follow this and you're going to get healthy, we're going to resolve whatever clinical issues you have or whatever. But people are people, they're humans, everybody's a little bit different. So you got to look at what's working, see what the labs are, see what the diagnostics are telling you, and you need to adjust accordingly for that individual to have to maximize their chances of health and optimize their health. And so that's the same kind of mentality that I bring to when I work with students and help them do what they need to do to be successful in getting into medical school or wherever they need to go. Some students are trying to get into post-bac programs, so I'll help them out with some things there, but more often than not, it's going to be for students who are studying for the MCAT, did this commercial prep course, and is not working for them. I'm telling you, yeah, that's fine. I know. I understand how these commercial prep courses do. They got these millions and millions of dollars marketing budget and all of that stuff. They'll teach you content or whatever, but they're not going to actually teach you how to apply what you know to take the test. And I tell students, you know what? I teach you how to think like a doctor. That's what it is. And then don't even get me started in medical school application process. I have students reach out to me and they're like, Dr. Spears, I can't believe this. I was with this other company and they weren't helping me. I spent all this money and I really need to make this happen. And even just in the emails and short phone call we have, you giving me more help and I didn't pay you any money for it or whatever or anything like that. Like, yeah, I'm trying to help you guys out and everything like that. And you'll see like my knowledge and expertise and you'll say, oh, okay, this guy's really committed to me and my success, because that's what it's about. I want you guys to be successful. I want you guys to get into medical school, live your dreams of being a doctor and all of that stuff. And that's what I'm here for. So I'm gonna just end this. I've talked for a lot on this, and you can tell like I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about your success because I want to see you guys get to the next level. Because as I say, I want to see you in your white coat and stethoscope. Thank you.